Hello guys, I'm going to show you a few things on Moby today. So I'm going to log in and Miss Brooks wanted me to show you all and kind of talk about how I use Moby. If I click on the math uh, and I click on the mathematics right here, I go into that module. If I go to lessons, right, under lessons, I have turned off the function of Moby where it automatically assigns lessons. Because I want my students to work on lessons that I control. And so I put the lessons that go along with our pacing guide in second grade uh, in this module. And if I did not turn off the automatic assign, then Moby's going to assign it lessons according to the replacement test. And which is fine and dandy if you're just using this to uh, plug in holes. But if you're trying to do grade level assignments or lessons in this module, the remedial lessons and the grade level lessons kind of get mixed together and you can't really control it. So I figured out if I click off of the automatic assign, then I get to control whatever's in that module. So I go down here to settings. I'm going to go over here to modules. I'm going to click on modules. It's already clicked on mathematics. If yours doesn't do that, you can find it on mathematics. And this button right here, I've got it shut off. I shut this off because it was too confusing with my lessons and the automatically assigned lessons for Moby. The kids weren't working on what I wanted them to work on. So I turned it off, and for all of our students in second grade, when I go back to this module, I click on mathematics, I click on lessons, I go to assign, okay. Um, I click on the entire class, or I can do it per student, but I'm just doing entire class because I am putting in standards or skills that are aligned with our pacing guide for second quarter. So for me, I go to grade two. Okay, there's two options. It shows lessons or it shows standards. If you want to do it by standards, then you just click standards, and here's the Kentucky standards. You can click on whatever standard you want. Okay, I tend to look at lessons as well because inside those standards are 4 or 5 lessons at least per standard, and these are the lessons. So uh, I click on whichever lessons that correspond with uh, the standard I'm supposed to be on. Okay, you can do it either way, lessons or standards. You just click on the ones you want, and you just push assign. And so I'm gonna like click on this one. I push assign, and it asks me, do I want to put it on top of all the lessons that are there in the sequence, or do I want to put it at the bottom? So um, when I add standard, or I'm sorry, lessons, I will put at the bottom. I did that this morning because some students had run out of lessons, and it said to ask your teacher, and they had messaged me that they needed new lessons. So I went in and I went and picked some more lessons that correspond to our pacing guide, and I clicked on to put it at the bottom because some students are not ready for those. The students that don't have anything assigned to them, that'll be their first lessons they see. Uh, you can also click here for it to be put in the assignment tab if you want to. I did not. I always push no for second grade. Maybe if you're in third, fourth, and fifth grade, you may want to put yes. They could go in the assignment and pick and choose. I don't do that, and I wouldn't recommend that for primary. The older kids, you may want to do that if that's your preference. You push continue, and it will automatically put it in there. So that's how you do that. If you want to turn off the assignments, I showed you how to do that, where it automatically assigns, but you may have to go in and delete lessons. The way you do that is you would click on a student's name, and you're going to have to go in and push delete, 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 delete. Okay, and I know it may take a while to do, but we did this. I went in and did that, and it has run much smoother. I can kind of control the order of the lessons and what lessons are actually being taught, okay, for grade level. Now I'm going to show you how I do remedial lessons, or how I get those lessons that I want to fill in gaps with students. So I'm going to show you in math. I use test prep and review for this. I started using this about a year and a half ago. I've used it off and on in RTI since we've had Moby, but they've added to it a little bit more. And about a year and a half ago, I played around with it a little. I noticed that some teachers were assigning lessons in the math module for grade level lessons, and I was assigning remedial lessons. And when I would get the kids for RTI, I'd go to the computer lab, we'd go on the lessons, and the lesson that would come up was not the lesson that I wanted them to do in RTI. So I decided let's try test prep. So last year, when kids come to RTI for math, and we went to the computer lab, we did strictly test prep and fact fluency. But test prep, this module, you can't choose the lesson on it. It gives you a grade level. So get like, I'm in second grade now. The default for each kid is second grade level. So it's going to test them on all the standards in second grade in math. Now, it's my understanding that it will give 2 to 3 test questions per standard. If the student passes all 2 or 3, whichever one it is, Moby says that student's mastered that standard and goes on to the next standard. If they get at least one question wrong out of those, then it gives a mini lesson, and the student has to pass the mini lesson with 80% or above to be able to go on. Every once in a while, Moby will pass a student if they do like a 75 or above. There is a function where you can go in and reassign those lessons. I'll show you that in a few minutes. But what I do is I'm going to go back to home. I'm going to show you how to get there. We're going to click in over here on this side menu, mathematics. There is a test prep in reading, and I believe there's a test press in language. But it's always this dark blue-ish green color. Okay. You adjust levels right here where it says grade level, and you've got these gears. Okay, as you can see, some are in first grade, some are in second grade. Okay, I'll go down through here. All right, so it's a mix of first and second grade. Okay, now how did I determine first or second grade? Well, I went to the STAR math reports, to the instructional planning reports for each student. I brought that report up, and I looked at the OA and the MBT standards on that report. If it recommended that students be in first grade, then I come here and I would click this gear, and I can change grade levels right here, whichever grade I want. Okay, I click first grade for this student. I also click to continue to the next grade level once this grade is done. Okay, so that way when this student gets to the end of grade one, he doesn't get the message, you need to see your teacher. It just goes on to the next grade. Okay, so that's why I always click this button. Okay, so that's how I changed them. The whatever grade level you're in, that's when you first come in this module, that will be the default for all your students. But the instructional planning report for STAR told me to change these ones to first grade. Okay, and if it had told me to change students to third grades, then I would have done third grade, but we didn't have that. So if this is on the snapshot right now, and if I go to practice, it brings up another menu, and I can then click on a student's name. Okay. Now these are the individual lessons and standards that this student has worked on. Okay. And as you can see, he's making hundreds here. So he's the 2 or 3 questions out of this standard or this skill, he's made 100 on it, so it went to the next standard or skill, the next one. Okay, this one he didn't master it the first time, so I give him a mini lesson. In his mini lesson, he made it 85%. That's above 80, so I went to the next one. Okay, if they are in blue, you can click on them, and it'll show you the actual questions. Okay. So we go up through here. Okay, so like here's a 70. Okay. Moby, for some reason, let him go on, and he didn't redo this. Okay. I have set the minimum passing grade at 80%. But every once in a while, for some reason, Moby will let a 70 to 75, 76, 78, it'll let it go through and go on to the next standard. Okay, all you got to do here, okay, 70%. If you want him to redo that, we're going to click right here. We're going to come up here and push reassign. And then it asks you to make sure, do you want him to reassign the practice? And you say, yep, okay. And it takes it off. Okay. It doesn't show it anymore. Okay. Because it put it back in his list of assignments to do in this module. So when he's reviewing counting backwards by ones. He's in progress of that. When he completes that one, it's going to go back to that one that I just reassigned. Okay. I'm going to go out. Hey, I'm going to go back in. Go to practice. Okay. I'm going to find. All right. This student has. All right. Here's what I want to see. Okay. See these skills and standards. Okay. Their final score is 100%. Okay. But this one, they had to do it 1, 2, 3 times. On the third attempt, they scored 100%. So the first time or the second time, one of these is the first time or second time, they scored a 45% or a 60%. Okay, that wasn't passing, so it made Moby automatically made them do it again, and finally they made a 100 and it went to the next standard. Okay, I can click on this. Okay, this was at 10:12 a.m. on October 21st. Okay, this one was at October 19th. Okay, so the first time that this student did compare two digit numbers and word problems, they made a 45%. The next, it wasn't passing, so the next time they did it, they made a 60%, and then the third time they made a 100%. Okay? So Moby says you've mastered this standard or skill, so we're going to go to the next one, and that's how this module works. I really got a lot of growth from using this module like this last year out of RTI students. When I gave star scores after they had worked on it for several weeks, their next star test, the scores jumped up, and then at the third time they took their star test, some of them before COVID, I had them to take it right before COVID, and their scores had went up again. So I believe that the math test prep and review section gives you a lot of bang for your